morning. This is Dick Zondag, Jung's Garden Doctor, and with the interest in raised bed gardening, we decided to do some expansion in our raised bed gardens. The raised bed gardens out in front of the garden center I've been working on for maybe 20 years, and we've done some really nice things there, but decided that we wanted to get into raised bed gardening in a bigger way. And so what I did is I went to the local building center, and they had some corrugated steel sheeting that came back from jobs, or I don't know exactly what it was, but anyway, it was in their recycle. And so what I did was I purchased it, and the sheets were 10 feet long, and so they had some smaller ones that are like 4 or 5 feet long, and so we're going to make some raised bed gardens. We cut the metal corrugated steel in half, and building, now I'm in the process of building support for them. And what I did was I had some, I'm cheap, I like to use things that are scraps, and so we had changed some of our shelving here at the seed company, and so I had some 2x6s that I split in two to make the framework to attach the corrugated steel to, and that's what I'm in the process of doing. So I drilled some pilot holes with a drill press in the maintenance shop, and we're using some 4-inch screws that we're going to put the framework together, and then what we'll do is attach the steel sheeting to that framework, and when we get those done, we'll take them out into the outside and attach them together, and then we'll show you how we're going to start the raised bed gardens, what we'll do with filling them up. We don't really need 15 inches of compost to raise nice vegetables. I did have one of the raised bed gardens that was a little bit deeper. I think it was like 9 inches, and we raised carrots and some of the root crops in those raised bed gardens. But most of the raised bed gardens were only like 6 inches deep, and so that's plenty of compost to grow vegetables and some flowers in. And so that's what I'm going to be doing this morning, and so we'll speed it up a little bit so you don't have to spend hours watching me do this. The way that I'm doing this is kind of a compilation of what I saw on YouTube and what I kind of had in the back of my mind anyway, so not taking full credit for the way that it's done, but I think when we get done, we'll have probably less than $100 in the material that we use to make these raised bed gardens. So with that, we'll get to work, and we'll check back with you when we start doing some of the sheeting and things like that. Okay, we have the ends of the raised bed garden done. We'll be taking them out to the location early next week to put them together and to start filling them up. So I think the hardest part of the job is done. We have the corrugated metal attached to the framework that we made, and we'll just put the sides and ends together, and then we can start working on what goes into them. So we're out here this morning, finished up putting the raised bed garden together. Because it's 15 inches and we're going to be raising it up so that the wood isn't on the ground, so the water drains away and the wood doesn't rot as fast. We have to fill the raised bed with something that's not going to cost us too much, because to fill this much volume would be really expensive. And so what I did was I went to one of our local tree trimmers, and he's dumped a couple of loads of the trimmings that he got from taking trees down, and so we're going to use this to fill in the bottom of the raised bed. And you can see already that the wood is decomposing. You can see the steam coming off from it when I go into the pile. And so what we're going to do is fill this bin in until there's only about 9 inches of compost in it, and I'll be doing that this weekend, and then we're going to do some planting in it. Even though it's quite late in the season, I think we can still get a decent crop of garlic. Well, here we are, kind of getting done with the first of our two raised bed gardens for this fall. Just loaded it with the compost that we generate from the greenhouse. Going to let it settle a couple days and then plant a few things in it this fall to see what happens over the winter. But another thing that we'll be doing is putting some reinforcing bars in the ground to keep the bottoms from bowing out. But I think for the most part it's done. We'll put a edge around the outside, continue to fill that, maybe put a dressing, top dressing of some bags of compost, but I think for the most part we're done. So it took about a day to cut the metal, to get the structure put on it, to haul it out here, put it together, and then get the wood clippings from our tree service, filling it up. So we have about 9 inches of compost in the raised bed. Not absolutely necessary to have 9 inches. It probably 6 inches would be enough, but we have plenty of it, so we made it 9 inches. Now what's going to happen is we put a little fertilizer on top of the wood, and that will keep decomposing. So as we go along in years, the bed will tend to settle a little bit, and we'll just add a little more compost on top to keep it going, and then we'll fertilize it a little bit, because any crop that you take out of a raised bed garden will take a little bit out of the soil, and so you want to keep the soil in good shape. So our little experiment of building a raised bed garden I think turned out just fine, and like I said, we'll be finishing up the second one during the next week and getting that filled and ready to go. So next spring we'll have these two 10 by 6 by 10 raised bed gardens to plant a lot of different things in to see how they grow in it. So wishing you all a great winter. This is Dick Zondag, the garden doctor. Looking forward to next spring with raised bed garden out in my backyard.